Guess who's back? Back again. Oh, man. I don't know about you, but Eminem is releasing his album this week. And that Houdini that dropped a couple weeks ago has got me in the mood for some old school Slim Shady. Been rocking that when we're doing the yard work, in the car or whatever, getting ready. Looking forward to that. I think it was Thursday or Friday. It's coming up. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. It's Bobby Beans here with the POTcast. We are making noise in Wisconsin until this thing is legal. We're going to do whatever it takes. We're working together. We're getting the voices of the people together. Day by day, this thing is growing. We hit 30,000 on Facebook. Much love out there to the Facebook folks. We got Randy's on YouTube. Appreciate you, Randy. Danny's in the house running for president. Let's get him on that thing. Robert's in the house. What's up, my man? I got to make a run out your way again soon. Missing some of that homegrown lettuce. Of course, we're talking lettuce. Thanks again, though, for everybody for stopping out to Monday's episode here. Before we get started, got to give a quick shout out to my dad. It's his birthday. Much love. Got to spend some time with him this weekend. Without him, I wouldn't be here. Got to give props for their due. And he gave me my name. But I'm junior. He's senior. And he told my mom from the day they found out they're having a baby till I was born. He says, it's going to be a boy. We're going to call it Junior. So Heath is in the house. Thanks for swinging by, Heath. Appreciate you big time. Let's start out by thanking our sponsors, the folks who make this thing possible. Higher Love. You can see them right above me here. Appreciate everything they do, being a partner and sponsor of the show. Make sure you get a chance to stop out there in the UP. It's worth the drive. I don't care if you're on the Illinois border. Drive to the UP. It'll be worth it, especially your first visit. You get that 15% off with the promo code there. Check it out. Get the goods. Deli-style flour. Everything you need. They've got it. Top of the line. Tell them Bobby Bean sent you. Lots of great folks up there. I've got a chance to meet a lot of the different locations. So all across the UP, they're located. Also, huge shout out to Ignite Dispensary. If you're looking for products in Wisconsin, highly recommend Ignite Dispensary. And they've got some great locations across the state. We're looking at Milwaukee, Spooner, Hayward, Superior, Manitowoc, New Richmond. And again, that lounge is open in Manitowoc. Looking forward to checking that out. Before we get rolling into news and happenings, just wanted to share, if you got a chance to share this to the page. This is the details for Hemp Fest this year. Again, it's the Great Midwest Hemp Fest. Used to be called the Great Midwest Marijuana Harvest Protest. And it's now called the Great Midwest Hemp Fest. Looking forward to checking that out. Again, that's going to be this year, Saturday, the 28th of September. And then the 29th of September is the March to the Capitol. They've got a lot of great bands out there. It's going to be at James Madison Park this year. Looking forward to it. A lot of the details are available on the website. Actually, I got the link here. Wait, I got too much. I don't need to share all that. We're going to go copy. Let me get this ready for y'all so I can put it in the comments here. 1 second. Copy. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We got a chance to, what did I do? Oh, there we go. We're still connected to the internet. FBI hasn't hacked us yet, so that's good. Details to the Facebook link for the event where you can find the tickets and everything are in the comment section now, I believe, on the different platforms we're on. So again, really looking forward to Hemp Fest. We're going to be a huge part of the entire thing. There's going to be a few different booths. Well, there's going to be a lot of different booths. We're going to do like a panel discussion on the Saturday, and then Sunday again is the protest, the March to the Capitol, and there's a ton of great bands. So they'll be listed here on the flyer. Again, you can find the link there. Looks like Heather's in the house. Thanks for swinging by, Heather. Sam's in the house. We'll be at the March on the Capitol. Awesome. Looking forward to it, Heather. Really looking forward to it. Let's get things rolling when it comes to the news. We got a few things cooking out there. I'm going to be talking with Rob Perro tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on a podcast here coming up. He is I believe he's the founder of the Indigenous Cannabis Association. He definitely owns Canadigenous. Helps run that and many other great things. So we'll keep you posted on that. Looking forward to anytime I've run into Rob, it's been a great experience as far as working together and working as a team. So looking forward to seeing what we can do. He's actually going to be on the steps of the Capitol with us as well for the protest. So you guys will get a chance. If you haven't met Rob and you can't catch him on the podcast, you can catch him out at the March to the Capitol. All right. This one caught my eye, folks. This was interesting. Definitely thought we should check it out. So erase cannabis convictions is stonewalling cannabis license applicants. When it comes to football, I feel like Minnesota is always hyped up, and then the execution is usually lacking, right? I hate the Vikings, but only because of their fans and how they talk about the Packers. Okay. But like, I don't like to use the hate word, but when it comes to the Vikings, can't stand them. Can't stand anything about them, any of their fans. Ugh, it's just the whole thing. But it looks like that rings true when it comes to trying to figure out how to get these licenses out because our friends next door in Minnesota, the first step for a business to get in the Minnesota marijuana game is underway this week, as we've been talking about. But a move designed to help cannabis convicts may be backfiring for some of them. The state is verifying social equity applicants for, it says now for 3 weeks, but a lot of people are struggling to prove they qualify as social equity applicants because their convictions have been wiped clean. This would be a reminder. Hey, Jill, thanks for stopping by. Heather's from Minnesota. That's cool. As long as you haven't talked Vikings to me yet, we'll get along just fine. Maybe you seem respectable too. So yeah, essentially, this seems goofy to me. I would think when you wipe your record clean, like there should still be something, right, to signify. Well, I guess how do you do that? I guess they truly wipe it clean. Um, this gentleman got busted in 2006 at these folks over at Fox 9, KMSP over in Minnesota. They interviewed him. He got a ticket marked on his record. This was back in 06. I distinctly remember paying a fine for it, he said. And 18 years later, that arrest could come in handy as he looks to, he's currently in the hemp business, looking to get into cannabis retail. However, when he applied for his social equity, it came back in error and said, hey, you're not, you don't qualify. What's up, Javin? Thanks for swinging by. Jill says, my family loves the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, boy. Well, Jill, you would definitely be an exception as well. I love Vikings. Not kidding. I'm from Appleton. Oh, close call. Close call. So social equity applicants get their chance to over the last couple of weeks. And last year, though, they expunged the records of 57,000 low-level marijuana convictions. So basically, this guy found himself, he says, I feel like I'm in an infinite loop with the government right now, and I don't know what the next steps are. This is unfortunate. It looks like they had 1,500 people apply for the verification of social equity this week, and there's 282 licenses up for grabs. Not sure how long of a process they're looking at to hand out the licenses, but man, that's got to suck if it holds up things. If I would assume it's a pretty quick process. I don't know if it says in here, but essentially counties will have a record that there used to be a record, or even submitting that is worth a try. So it sounds like they got some kinks to work out over there, and we'll have to see how things shake out. But again, that's something we gotta look at the states around us who go through this, let them deal with it, and learn from it, because this is something that you might not think about. We want a clean record, but we still need some kind of a like a good asterisk saying, hey, this it was expunged, but this person does qualify for social equity, that kind of thing. Javin says, you know what you call a Minnesota Viking with a Super Bowl ring? A thief. Oh, that would be a true statement. I don't think they've ever won it. I give them props for trying, though. Give them props for trying. All right. Before we get anyone else mad at us, we've always keep our tabs on DeSantis because he's the Voss version of Voss. When Voss is out of office, we see what DeSantis is doing because he seems to follow Voss hand in hand when it comes to cannabis. Again, this is the Florida governor DeSantis. So we've been talking about this, how the Florida got it on the ballot. He doesn't think it should pass. The people had to go around him to the Supreme Court, all that stuff. So he launched a political action committee opposing a marijuana legalization ballot initiative, right? And so far it has raised 10,000, which is 1/6,000th of the amount of money that's poured into the effort to pass cannabis. They said that the Smart and Safe Florida campaign, which is the pack behind the marijuana initiative, has raised over $60 million. $60 million compared to 10,000. Hopefully, this goes to show you how much the people of Florida want legalization and deserve it. But again, politics, how do they work? No one really knows. We'll see how this shakes out. The PAC, founded by the governor, only launched in May, whereas the cannabis campaign has been active since late 2022. Even so, the early numbers seem to signal a lack of enthusiasm among prospective donors in supporting the effort to derail legalization. So hopefully it stays that way, because this is like, if this happened in Wisconsin, this is what we'd want to see as well. We'd want to see Voss's campaign not get much money, because again, that you don't donate unless you support the cause. Hopefully, this is a sign that people are seeing through the muddy water of trying to stop legalization. It's just silly, really. And it was only one donor that donated to DeSantis committee, and it was a former U.S. representative, Republican from Pennsylvania, who voted against numerous amendments in Congress to shield state marijuana laws from federal interference. We've got to keep our streets clean. We cannot have every town smelling like marijuana. We remember him saying this. We cannot have every hotel smelling like theme parks, he said, adding that voters don't really understand the specifics of the legalization proposal and that ballot initiatives are generally so bogus. DeSantis acknowledged that the state Supreme Court has a role in reviewing ballot language for constitutionality, and that a majority of justices determined that marijuana measure met the legal standard. So yeah, get off your horse here, DeSantis. And again, DeSantis, maybe this guy's good on other policy. I'm not saying this guy sucks at everything, but when it comes to cannabis, this guy is, I don't know, a piece of work. Javin says there are so many dispensaries in Florida and it's medical only. It's crazy. Yeah, I can believe that, because I was there a few years ago and it was a lot. God, I hope so. Cannabis smells great, right? And again, I'm for responsible adult use and medical use, but regardless of how you're using it, it's just like if you smoke cigarettes. I would hope you should not smoke when, if your neighbor's right next to you and you're mowing your lawn, you shouldn't, or, if you guys are right next to each other, I guess if you're mowing the lawn, maybe you spark one up, maybe you don't. But you know what I mean? If your neighbor's right next to you and you're both outside, don't smoke in front of him if he's not cool with it, or ask him. That's the only way I would feel comfortable. I wouldn't just go out there, light up, and be like, hey, you got to deal with my smell. Like, I get it's a loud smell. Be cognizant of your neighbors. Be respectful. DeSantis. He's also the guy that said, approving this, if the voters approve this, quote, you will be able to bring 20 joints to an elementary school, end of quote. So yeah, it's that guy. It's unbelievable. He sucks at everything. Says Heather. Javit says in Madison it's legal to smoke and be smelly. Yes, this I do like. So again, we'll keep an eye on the things going on down in Florida. Looks like the initiative would accomplish, again, that was the 21 and older could possess up to 3 ounces. Legislator would be authorized but not required to approve additional entities that are not currently licensed cannabis dispensaries. Otherwise, it would be looking at the medical dispensaries to essentially get a second license for the adult responsible use. And again, they're figuring the measure would take effect 6 months following approval by voters. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, see how things shake out. And DeSantis, Voss's brother, over there in Florida. All right, moving along. I thought this would be interesting to check out. This one's from CBS News. 1 year after legalizing recreational, where does Maryland stand in sales and stigma? There are some states that legalize, and then there's another state I was just reading. I believe it was Maine. Their numbers are starting to come down for sales as far as cannabis rec use goes. But I wanted to see where Maryland's at on things. Because, again, a lot of it's how you roll it out. This isn't just you flip a button and, we're legal. It's going to be great. You need to have fair pricing. You need to have a fair, you can't have 4 state-run dispensaries. Got to work together. We, the people, need to stick together. Joe says, what's the difference between cigarettes and cannabis versus pollution? That's a great question. Ricky says, but Florida's getting something done. What about Wisconsin? They will not get it done because it's a great talking point for the Democrats. It definitely seems to be a talking point. with little action. It's hard to say for sure. Like, I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and that when it comes to politics, everything, like, legit, like, it's hard for me to say I can't see the Democrats. All the Democrats in Wisconsin said they're for legalization. Like, I don't think there's one that has spoken out against it. They're saying the Republicans are holding it up because the Republicans have the control, and it shouldn't it shouldn't be this. Well, they're this, they're that side of it. It should just be common sense. And yes, we definitely need to get to the bottom of it. We need to keep just growing this voice of the people. I think that is our best shot. I don't think it's, I don't think we can raise enough money to influence it lobbying style. That just seems like a whole lot of work, and I don't want to be in, holding people's money for donations and lobbying. Like, to me, it shouldn't be that way. It should just be common sense. And if you get enough people speaking up to politicians and they realize, holy shit, these guys aren't going to vote for us if we don't do the right thing. We got to stick together. But Javin says, in my opinion, Wisconsin way to recreational is through the medical legalization first. Got to push medical first. I could definitely see that, and I would not be against that at all. Again, it's just got to be a good medical bill. So we'll see how things shake out. We've got, going back to Maryland here, let's see how things are going with them since they legalized. Looks like Maryland raked in more than $14 million in taxes for marijuana sales within the first 3 months alone this year. Jeez, $14 million in taxes for marijuana sales within the first 3 months alone. That's crazy. And sales are growing as the state marks the first anniversary of legal rec cannabis use. Looks like they're checking in with one of the founders and CEO of Relief, which is a marijuana dispensary in Baltimore. He says, first of all, I had a passion for the product, and I come from a time when it was heavily stigmatized. The use of this equaled you not being successful, and I want to challenge those misconceptions. Hell yeah, man. It looks like they found innovative ways to get marijuana products to customers, from home deliveries to a walk-up window, or you can just browse the menu in the store. Saw the incredible opportunity coming to Maryland and quickly went to work on it, and it feels like the blink of an eye. Later, here we are. And the stigma over marijuana use wanes as he is starting to see a new customer base. He said, we are definitely seeing more first-time users, which is creating this infectious enthusiasm for people who come in and are just appreciative of being here. And you're also seeing more acceptance of people who would normally have never tried this as an option. Where they had surgery on their ankle, they're not going to use an opioid. They're going to try some gummies and see how that makes them feel. And I keep hearing more of that myself. That is awesome to me. With recreational marijuana now legal in 24 states and the DEA moving to reclassify to a less dangerous category under the Controlled Substances Act. This comes as daily marijuana users now outnumber daily drinkers for the first time ever, which we touched on. I think that was actually a couple months. It's all starting to blur together, guys. The change in preference is largely being driven by young people, of people aged 18 to 24. 69% prefer marijuana to alcohol. Again, that was from the 22 survey in 22 by Frontier Data. My doc tells me to smoke one, says Heather. Appreciate being out of pain, right? Absolutely. Same here. And like, I just feel like anytime they've given you some of those pain meds for surgeries and stuff, like, it really knocks you out. Like, gummies and stuff, that's all I need for pain. Like, well, I suppose, I don't know for sure. I haven't had a huge surgery, knock on wood. Haven't had a huge surgery and tried to substitute. But like when my back is acting up and I got to take like constant Tylenol to help with it, the gummies are so much easier because it's just a low dose gummy, takes care of the pain, and I can even take a lower dose and still like not be high, just be chill, So we'll see how things shake out. It looks like Chris agrees. Rather have cannabis, right? Exactly, Heather. And it's a little more simple when it comes to ingredients compared to some of the drugs they like to push on us down there at the doctor's office. Looks like in April alone, the state recorded, this again is Maryland, $63 million in rec sales compared to $30 million in medical out of a total of $462 million in overall sales so far this year. So it almost doubled medical. But again, so far this year, they're at $462 million in overall sales. That's crazy. That's so much money. And I feel like Maryland isn't huge. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Guess I haven't been there. Actually, let's just compare population of Maryland. One day we're gonna have like a helper, and then I'm just gonna like say these things, and kind of like Joe Rogan or some of these other guys. We're gonna have like a board. Bob and Tom, they always are like, "What's the?" They got like a dude who sits on a computer and asks these questions. We're gonna have that one day, folks. It's gonna be. We're gonna just keep doing this thing. We're just always gonna be talking cannabis. It's just gonna be a thing, like it or not. Guess who's back? We're back every day about cannabis. That's what we do. Maryland versus Wisconsin. Who thinks? Which state do you think has a higher population? Let's see. Who's our geo nerds out there? Wow, this is telling me a lot of stuff. Here we go. Wow. Okay. What do you guys think? Jeremiah says Maryland. Jill says Maryland. Jill says she'll help. If you could get on the board, we need like a board. It's gonna take some fancy stuff, but definitely be down to try to figure that out. It is actually they are very similar. Wisconsin has and these are 2023 numbers. Wisconsin has 5.9 million. Maryland has 6.1. So they're very similar, actually, as far as population goes. Let's see if there's any big differences. The density would be the difference. What are they looking at here? Density is almost tripled in Maryland. So that would make sense. Wisconsin's a little bigger than Maryland, quite a bit bigger. So it's just a little all more together, probably a little less cornfield for days like you get to see in Wisconsin. But otherwise, very similar unemployment rate within 0.2%. GDP, annual GDP, very similar states, actually. That's interesting. Very interesting. Guess you learn something new every day. Who knows the capital of Maryland for bonus points? Anybody? I don't think I would have remembered this had I not just seen it. Yeah, capital of Maryland. Come on. Your teacher's watching from elementary school when you could remember it, but some of y'all cheated. Boston. Close, but no cigar. Boston. That was my guess. My first guess. But again, I saw it, so that's kind of cheating. Anybody know it? Come on now. Somebody in here knows it. Y'all are Googling now, Appling it. It ain't even the same. Y'all are cheating. It's Annapolis. I would have never known had I not just read it, but I wanted to act like I did, but I don't think I would remember that. Annapolis, capital Maryland. All right, so getting back to Maryland. Sorry for getting off tangent there. The DC region is responsible for the biggest chunk, 6.7 million, followed by the Baltimore region at 3.7. The prices in Maryland, want to have that pulled up. Did I win, says Javin, right? We've got retail prices for marijuana products tend to be a bit higher in Maryland. The median price per gram is $9.64. Looks like as far as pardons go, just I think this was last week or the week before, Maryland, I saw a headline. They had pardoned 175,000 people convicted of low-level marijuana possession charges. That's crazy amount of people. Gosh, that's a lot, but that's also great to see. When it comes to equity in cannabis, the state made equity a centerpiece of its licensing. Maryland became the first state in the nation to open a cannabis licensing round exclusively for qualifying social equity applicants in all license types. So you have 150 stores that are going to come online. He said you have stores in all the major metro areas. You have pretty good coverage of the rural areas. In Maryland today, you have a state that's number 9 in total sales across the U.S. that's going to continue growing. Holy shit. Chris says Michigan is 8 a G, not like I know or anything. Right? Right? Not like we spend our weekends there, but cool. Well, we got to check in with Maryland, see what's going on out there. Good for them. Send some of them vibes this way, Maryland folk. We love you. Glad to see you got safe access to cannabis. Hopefully we'll be joining you soon. We'll light one up to celebrate. So this kind of goes, this was interesting. Saw this when I was scrolling through. This is from The Guardian. Republicans use cannabis smell complaints as excuse to oppose legalization, advocates say. This is an article about NORML arguing lawmakers exaggerate the scent complaints to support policies banning public use. Interesting. Let's see if this is any meat to the bone. Guess who they start out talking about? Our buddy Ron DeSantis down there in Florida, who likes to be a nuisance when it comes to how bad marijuana can be when he super exaggerates everything. But no, it looks like they did find. I've been doing it so long, I don't even smoke to get high. They interviewed a gentleman named Mike, who is, they were in Brooklyn. He was smoking a blunt when they were doing this article out and about. He said he's been doing it so long, I don't even smoke to get high. He smoked since he was about 11 years old. Okay, that's a bit. 11 is pretty young. That's too young in my opinion. Definitely too young. I enjoy being able to sit down and smoke outside with the police walking by, not saying anything. I don't want to be someplace where there shouldn't be any weed smoking, but you're smoking it just because you can. Yeah, like you wouldn't do that, right? You're not just going to smoke to make it stink. New York happens to be the media capital of the world, so this is a story that you hear about nationwide, even though this is largely not even just a New York phenomenon. This is New York City phenomenon. New York City would be, you're going to smell weed if it's legal. There's so many people stacked up, and there's a ton of traffic, but when you look at the number of people walking around compared to people in cars, like there's just a ton of people. I don't know. That would be a tough one. It's a little different here in Wisconsin. Like I was talking about with my neighbor next door, I feel like we've got a good distance. Shouldn't smell me smoking for the most part, unless we're like talking at the fence or something, like some little home improvement there. Tim the Toolman Taylor, talking to Wilson, if we're meeting over there at the garage talking, I could definitely smell it, but we've got our own distance. Where New York, you're walking downtown. There I could see saying you're going to smell a lot of weed, but I feel like you're going to have that whether it's legal or not. Maybe I'm wrong. This is just silly if it's more than just DeSantis, because again, he's silly himself. But I was hoping this article would bring in if there were other Republicans that were still using this. Excuse me. As far as New York, the state has not issued any on-site consumption licenses because officials have not established regulations for such businesses. We've got people can, of course, also consume alcohol at home, whereas that is more difficult with cannabis. I suppose if you got an apartment in New York, because I'm assuming that's what most people have. Being a civil violation, very similar to the way alcohol is treated as far as cannabis consumption goes. Let's see. I don't really see anyone else. They're really just talking about DeSantis for the most part, as far as actual Republicans using the smell. I can see it behind closed doors being a thing that they're a fear tactic. But what do I know? Heather says, yeah, a joint meeting at the 50-yard line, right? No, you're not smelling it outside, says Jill. Maybe she's right. Again, New York, I feel like you could probably be smelling it if you're deep. People that deep in people, you're gonna smell something, smell a little something. But so we'll have to keep an eye out on that. But the only actual person named in this article is DeSantis, which again, we know this is part of his thing. So hopefully that doesn't spread to other Republicans. All we can do is work on explaining to folks we're not for smoking in people's faces. We're talking respectful, adult, responsible use. Like, come on. Get it together, folks. Quit with the scare tactics. It's garbage. All right. This one, I kind of saw this coming. I was keeping an eye on. There was a case at the federal level. There was a couple of cannabis companies that filed a case. Oh, Jill lived there for 14 years. That's what you're saying. She said you didn't smell it outside. Gotcha. Peter says, late to the party. Hey, we'll let it slide this time, Petey Pablo. No problem. The cannabis companies that filed were represented by a high power law firm. That's where I thought maybe just have a little traction at the federal level. It was David Boies, I think it is. They do plan to appeal, but I think this just happened today or Friday, just a couple days within very recently. The U.S. District of Massachusetts dismissed a case challenging marijuana's federal illegality on Monday, so it was today. They did reject the arguments made by cannabis companies against prohibition. U.S. District Judge Mark Mastrani ruled that the plaintiffs have standing to sue, but in dismissing the lawsuit, his order applied the same analysis that the Supreme Court did when it addressed the issue in 2005. He's quoted as saying, only the Supreme, and this is from Politico.com, only the Supreme Court can overrule its own decisions, and lower courts must apply a precedent with direct application, even if there's a basis for believing the precedent has been undermined by later developments. The order reads, so again, this was Massachusetts marijuana companies represented by the law firm had argued the facts around marijuana have changed since the Supreme Court ruled on this issue in 2005. As far as the details, the court finds the plaintiffs have shown there is a causal connection between their economic injuries and the CSA, but the court ruled in favor of the federal government. So maybe there's a little silver lining to this. The court must apply the same analytic framework in the case because plaintiff's Commerce Clause claim is legally identical to the claim in the Rakes case, which is the one from 2005. The court also found that there's no precedent establishing a fundamental right to cultivate cannabis in the U.S. In the absence of a fundamental right to engage in the cultivation, processing, and distribution of marijuana, plaintiffs cannot prevail on their substantive due process claim. Chris says Weed Travels was disc golfing and the people behind me smelt it looking like they missed out. That'll happen. I got to hook it up sometimes. More context. While plenty of pro-marijuana advocates have attempted to challenge marijuana's federal illegality over the years, this case is notable because the plaintiffs are being represented by the big law firm best known for successful antitrust litigation, breaking up Microsoft. So, yeah, these are some big dog lawyers. But something tells me they might have found like a crack here. It sounds, there's some wording in the decision. Well, I guess all we can do is see. But he said, the gentleman in the review here, a partner for the firm, he said, I'm pleased with the substance of it because the court finally said we had standing. So maybe it's not a complete loss. We'll have to keep an eye on things. But again, this will be something to keep an eye on. The attorneys for the plaintiffs plan to appeal the decision to the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston. Whether the court decides to hear the case itself or punts it to the Supreme Court, either outcome would be fine with us, the attorney said. Oh, so he's feeling pretty confident. We'll have to see how it shakes out. At least somebody's out there making noise at the federal level while we deal with our state level here in Wisconsin. But, well, just a reminder, folks, make sure you check out the details on HempFest. We got that. We dropped the link earlier in the show. It's also on the page. You can get your tickets now. They are on sale. Just a reminder, it looks like they are charging for tickets this year. I don't think they have in the past, so make sure you get your tickets. There's an early bird sale. Make sure you check out our awesome sponsors to make this thing possible. And again, I always like to wrap things up by thanking each and every one of you. Again, if I was just here talking and you guys weren't engaging, if this was pre-recorded, I lose my mind. Really appreciate you guys stopping out, chatting it up. This is all we can do really is stick together, keep making noise, and keep growing the cause because this whole politics thing is just interesting to me. And this, to me, is the way that we find a crack through, and that's working together as the people. We deserve it. So let's keep it going. Hope y'all have a great evening. I'm going to go chat it up with the Pops. Again, happy birthday to him. And we'll see you guys again soon. Bobby Beans, we're out of here. So woo.